So this is Places to Grow collective learning event. It's the third or fourth, anyway, in a series. We are organizing these events to share the knowledge of our partners. So what is Places to Grow? Places to Grow is a catalyst for excellence in early childhood development on and or in early childhood education and care. There is always huge debates which acronym to use, so I use both. Can't get wrong with that, hopefully. And we are active in Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Hungary. And what we do in a nutshell, we are building cross-sectoral relationships to achieve systemic change in early childhood development and or early childhood education and care in these three countries. And we also supporting innovative and collaborative projects coming from this region. We have at the moment 11 core partners who are partners of the Places to Grow program, but there are many, many more through our umbrella organizations. So in total, it's around 40, 45 organizations who are connected to Places to Grow in some way. And today we would like to share with you a work of two of our or three of our partners of ICDI from the Netherlands, represented by Enid here in my top right corner. Woohoo! Yes, we have Marek from Schola Empirica in my top left corner.
You got it.
Woohoo! Yes, and we have Hollies represented by Teresa and Dia and myself, Maxime. Woohoo! Yes, everyone is here. And the project we want to introduce to you is a publication of inspiring ideas for practitioners, donors, and policymakers about inspiring projects of ECD or ECEC in this region. And the work was done by these three organizations, by ICDI from the Netherlands, by Schola Empirica from Czech Republic, Prague, and by Hollis uh, remotely in Europe. Um, so I would like to introduce you the format of this event. Maybe Teresa, if you have it in front of you, if you can share our agenda so we can walk through it very quickly. So what can you expect from today's event? Yes, it's coming up. So this is the agenda for today. What we are having is me doing the introduction. Then I will show you the publication, where can you find it and how it looks like, and also introduce how the case studies that we collected are structured. And after this, we will have two short presentations, one from Enid about the methodology of this publication, how we created the publication, and what kind of challenges we had doing so. And then Marek will deliver some research insights that we gathered as we collected these case studies and analyzed them. So after this, you will have an opportunity to ask questions about publications, but even about Places to Grow. Anything that comes to your mind, it's an open floor. So you can just raise your physical hand or your virtual hand, and then we will ask you to ask your question. And after this, we will have two breakout rooms with topics. We will share the topics with you in a second, and you can choose one of these rooms when you will get, well, when you will get deeper into this topic with one of our colleagues from Places to Grow. And then we will coming back, and the two rooms will sum up what have they discussed, and then we will close this event. Okay, so this is the structure of this event. And maybe, yes, Teresa, if you can show. So these will be the two breakout rooms. Room number 1 will be guided by Marek, and it's about how can we tell that your program works, how can you tell that your program works, how anyone can tell that your program works. And room number 2 will be about strategies for advocacy and engagement. And I think you will discuss how can you use even this publication for raising the awareness of the importance of early childhood development, and even raising the awareness of your organization and the activities that you do. Okay, so this is the agenda. Any questions at this moment about the agenda, about what we are trying to do? Oh, now I can see Vlado also joined us. Hi, Vlado. Very good. Okay, and Itka is here. Hi, Itka. So I will show you now the publication and where to find it. But first, I need to find it. Too many tabs, too many tabs. Okay, so yes, it's gonna work now.
Or I can do it.
No,
No.
no, 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 I'm doing it, I'm doing it.
Okay,
I'm not
go.
that bad, I'm not
Go.
that bad, I'm not that bad. So, okay, can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is the website of Places to Grow. And oh, for some reason, I'm like an old grandpa now with this old technology. Where is okay, yes. And on the website, you can see here in the menu, this publication menu point. And if you go to publication, then basically it opens the page of the publication. There is a short introduction, what's the publication is about. And if you go and click here on download now, it goes to the bottom of the page, and there we have many different versions. On the left we have digital versions, like if you want to read it in a digital form, yeah. And on the right we have print versions if you want to print it and read it on paper. So we designed it accordingly, so it's one is better for printing, another is better for digital. And now I will show you how it looks like. So obviously it has an introduction, blah blah blah. So this is the content of the publication. You can have a short overview of the European and national policy context of ECD and ECEC. And maybe I will show one example how a case study looks like. So this is a case study, and basically what you have here is the name of the organization. We are using this kind of tags to give you a very quick overview. What is this program or what is this organization about? So this is about home visits, counseling, and parent support, and they are focusing on children from 0 to 7. You will find everywhere a map showing where this organization or program is active. Then you will find a description of the program, like what they do, what's their goals, etc. And then there is two more parts in every case study. One is impact evaluation. We find it very important, so that every organization evaluates its impact, basically answering the question, is it working or not? So we are introducing how each of the organization doing that. And then the other part is the challenges and what kind of solutions these organizations have for their challenges. So maybe others can learn from these examples. So this is how each case study looks like. And we have around 4 case studies for each country that we collected. So I will stop here, go to placesTogrow.eu. Teresa will share it in the chat. If you haven't seen yet the publication, check it out, download it, use it in any way you would think it useful. So I will stop here and then give the floor to Enid from ICDI, who will introduce the methodology that was used for collecting these case studies and how the work was done to create this whole publication. Okay, thank you very much. The floor is yours, Enid.
Thanks, Maxime. I'm just going to share my screen quickly. Okay, can everyone see the PowerPoint? Okay, great. So like Maxime said, I am Enid. I'm from ICDI. We are a knowledge organization based in the Netherlands that supports and develops initiatives in the field of early childhood development, child protection, and child well-being. We aim to create rich, safe, and nurturing environments for children to live, grow, and learn. And we specifically focus on children that are the most vulnerable. And as explained, we're an active partner in the Places to Grow program. So I will explain a bit the methodology that we used when developing this compendium, and then we'll get into the challenges and successes that we encountered along the way. In terms of methodology, I want to explain what we mean by inclusion in early childhood education and care, the criteria for inclusive early childhood education and care programs that were included in this compendium, and then the process that we took to choose the programs that would be included in this compendium. When we were beginning to develop the compendium, we wanted to, we asked ourselves this question of what we consider to be an inclusive program. So we wanted to map it out, which led us to making this framework. So what we consider to be an inclusive program is a program that is accessible to children and families. So for example, it's in an easy to reach location, that it's a program where all children and families can participate, so everyone is welcome, and it occurs in an environment that is safe. For example, the use of non-discriminatory language, and it embraces diversity and inclusion. So we had these 3 components of an inclusive program, but then we also wanted to add that the program is high quality because while it's important for the program to be designed to be inclusive, it's also really important that the program is capable of achieving what it sets out to achieve. Based on this framework, we then made a criteria for what makes for ensuring high quality, inclusive early childhood education and care. I won't read them all. These are in the compendium. I think it's better if you go and look at them. But we use these to try and guide how we would choose the programs to be included. So these are elements that we were looking for in inclusive programs. So then after mapping out what we mean by inclusive early childhood education and care, we reached out to umbrella partners in Places to Grow. we reached out to Carpathian Foundation in Hungary, Carpathian Foundation in Slovakia, and the Open Society Fund in Prague. And we reached out to them because they had a better overview of inclusive programs that are currently running in Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Hungary. So they were able to direct us to several programs that they already knew of, which we then considered further by reviewing the program's website, looking at documentation, and then finally by conducting interviews and visiting the program site. So some of the challenges that we encountered along the way, these are the one challenge that we had was deciding on who the target audience would be for the compendium and what the compendium's main purpose was. We finally settled on that the compendium is for stakeholders to see programs that they might be interested in partnering with or in funding. Sorry, we also struggled a bit to find a diverse collection of programs. A lot of the programs in the compendium focus on Roma children and families rather than, and we were looking for programs that were inclusive to different marginalized groups as well. Then we debated whether to call this compendium the Compendium of Best Practice or Inspiring Practice. This is because, well, we settled on calling it the Compendium of Inspiring Practices since some of the programs don't have strict monitoring and evaluation processes, or they lack long-term sustainability. And this relates to the last point that some of the programs lack sustainability in the long term, but we wanted to include them anyways because part of the purpose of this compendium is to draw attention to programs that are really inspiring but may need more funding may need more funding to continue. And then to our successes, the compendium has firsthand knowledge about ECD and ECEC in all 3 countries. That goes beyond just what is stated in policy, but also describes the situation in all 3 countries. It features small and local initiatives that might not get as much attention otherwise. The interviews were conducted in the local language, and the final compendium is available in Czech, Slovak, and Hungarian, making it more accessible to people. There's a clear call in the conclusion section for policy improvements in 6 areas, which can be used for advocacy efforts. And finally, the case studies were informed directly by implementing partners to ensure that we are getting the most reliable information. So yeah, these I wonder maybe if anyone has any questions about any part that I just explained. Otherwise, we can move on to Marek.
Yes, please save your questions for the Q&A part. If you have any, just write them down or just remember. And we will continue the presentation with Marek, who will share the insights that we got from these case studies.
Yep. Thanks, Maxim. Thanks, Enid. I'm just going to share my screen.
Can you see now just the presentation? Great. So just for those, I think we haven't met for a while with everyone here. So I'm from Schola Empirica. My name is Marek Pour, and we are a team of methodologists and researchers. So we have like these 2 main things going on in Schola Empirica. We focus on projects in ECC. We also focus on projects in education and social work. So we create our own methods, but at the same time, we adopt proven methods from the whole world. So You probably know, for example, Finnish Kiva anti-bullying program, or we also focus on parenting skills and their enhancement in socioeconomically disadvantaged regions. So this is what the PLH, Parenting for Lifelong Health, stands for. So these are just some like snippets of the programs we use or we adapt. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me on this mail. And regarding the research insights, it was a very interesting work. We had a lot of things going on also with colleagues. So I'm just going to share with you some main insights. Some of them will be maybe quite banal, but in science, it's always an achievement when you also can agree on very banal things. So yeah, we found that ECC really significantly contributes to cognitive, social, and emotional development of children. It's one of the, I would say, most banal findings, but it's always good to know that your program works. We also know that there are measurable impacts on both individuals and on communities. So these programs work on the individual level, as we were talking about the cognitive, social, and emotional development of children. So it works on them or for them, but at the same time, it has some impacts also on the other actors, teachers, parents. So there are these, I would say, important effects on the whole communities. This is also very important. And the third main finding is that the literature agrees on that these initiatives or programs work especially well for those families and children that find themselves in any adversities or low socioeconomic resource settings. So especially for the disadvantaged children and families, these initiatives are very useful and crucial. I think we can talk about some specific factors that hinder children's cognitive and behavioral development as well. What we found is that one of the most important factors contributing to this hindering of the development of children is chaotic environment. It's overcrowding. Overcrowding is one of the most researched topics, I would say, on this issue right now. Overcrowding leads to even like psychological and behavioral impacts. So it can also, I just have my, yeah. So it can also influence, for example, your psychomotor speed, comprehension, or spatial thinking. So maybe the main message here is that even though these are very specific factors, they can have an influence on variety of other things as well. Also, there is this environmental instability, which is very important factor that hinders the development. And there is this absence of structure or order. And all of these factors contribute to, for example, also teachers' negative attitudes for children living in such environments. So if we work on these factors, if we kind of try to solve these things, we can also contribute to better acceptance in school. That's also one interesting finding. And obviously, ECC leads to better cognitive development. Probably all of you know these famous studies that claim that from 0 to 3 years old, it's the most important part where your brain exponentially grows. So this is the, I would say, the very crucial moment of life when it's very important for every actor or stakeholder to do their best. And also it contributes to nowadays widely studied phenomenon of well-being and health as well. So these are the main factors contributing. And obviously we are now kind of delving into the topic of effectiveness. The initiatives or programs vary and their effectiveness. It depends a lot on whether these initiatives or programs use integrated approaches. I would say from the scientific literature, it's very clear that multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary solutions are the best thing for children and families. So if you combine these, I would say, psychological, social work aspects, educational aspects, it's when the programs deliver the best results. Also, enhancement of teacher skills. It's not maybe just about the skills, but also about the understanding of the adversities and, yeah, I would say adversities. And also it's the comprehension or to know when to use what kind of curriculum for the children. And obviously, we are now delving into the topic of structural problems and not enough resources, for example, in some countries. That is always best when you have some optimal class size and teachers students ratio. So this is obviously important. Yeah, and this is just an invitation for the breakout room. There was a small mistake in the name. So it's how can we tell that our program works? So I invite you guys to come to the breakout room where we will talk about this topic a bit more. So I'm just going to stop share my messy screen if I'm capable of, yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, Marek, for your presentation. So now, just to remind you, you will have time to ask any questions as a big group, and please always remember that there are no bad or good questions. They are just questions, so you can ask the most basic one or the most complex one, whatever is on your mind, but please ask them if you have any. And then we will head to the breakout rooms, and you can choose which topic interests you the most, and then you can join that room. So any questions that you might have regarding what you heard so far? Stano, thank you.
Hello, let me start. I'd like to ask actually both speakers, like, I know that you are familiar with the environment, know many projects. When you know the characteristics of best practices, how much are we in the field to the best, how close are we in the field to the best practices? Do typically projects like one component, or is it like 5 out of 6 are lacking in the field, or what's the situation? Like, what's the reality? Because theoretically, I think we can put an ideal project description together, but then what's the reality? Thanks.
I think I can answer this a little bit. I think, like you said, the programs, the projects that are out there are designed to be best practice. What is lacking is, like is mentioned in the compendium, is funding, making it sustainable in the long term. And this is a crucial element for a program to be best practice, that it continues to run and that it can be self-sufficient also, even if it loses funding. There's also, I think what we saw was that programs are close to being what we would consider best practice, but they were maybe lacking on this, on having monitoring and evaluation and yeah, like keeping track of what is working well and what is not working well within the own program itself. So I think it's close, if that answers your question. But so small elements that are still not being met, mostly funding, and then that it's evidence-based or that there's M&E processes in place. Maybe Marek can add though more about the evidence-based part.
Yeah. I was just thinking about actually the whole process of doing the cases, and I agree, as Enid mentioned, it's one of the things is the sustainability. I think what we like here, maybe in Czech Republic, I think I can talk about Czech Republic quite confidently. I think we like this sustainability in terms of planning, long-term planning. I think the initiatives, what we were talking about with people from the organizations, is that the environment changes quite quickly, and there are many projects that are changing. There are many projects that work with the target groups, but just for a short time, depending on the grants and all these things. So obviously sustainability is one part. And regarding the measurement, I think that's the second part, that we are not so used to maybe to work with the data here as well. So I think to measure stuff, it's quite new, and I think it's like a challenge for us as an organization as well to kind of strive to promote these important aspects of the programs, because I believe that if you measure and evaluate your programs, you can really tell if it works, in what ways it can be developed and adapted. So it's a very useful part of the initiative that I think we are still missing. So yeah, I think these are the main two aspects.
Okay, thank you. Any other question or maybe even comment to what Stano asked and Enid and Marek answered? I have a question then to Enid and Marek. So I was wondering if you can remember, or if it came out, what kind of narrative this organization are using to support basically the value or the need for their activities. Basically what I'm trying to say, like how are they selling themselves? How are they communicating the importance of their work? I'm really curious about this. Do you have any insights on that?
Yeah, I guess my insight is that there are various approaches to this. Also, it's connected to the target group the organizations work with. I think if there would be some narrative, I think there is a sense of lack of support from the state, maybe. So there's maybe some narrative of like, we keep struggling, we keep fighting, but we would need some more assistance and more, I would say, support from other actors. So this is one of the things. And also maybe what I found, it's maybe my narrative more. And I think here we tend to work very individualistically. So the organizations are maybe a bit fragmented, and they tend to not to cooperate in terms of the methods and integral parts of the programs so much. But that's my perception or idea or narrative. So these two things.
Okay, thanks. Enid, you want to add something to this?
I don't really have anything else to add to this. I think it's a good question also for the breakout room we'll have about
Okay,
communication and advocacy.
Zuza?
Yeah, thank you for presentation of both of you. And I have a question maybe to Enid, and it is about the criteria of inclusiveness of studied programs, and especially the criteria of accessibility and some more concrete information maybe. And I wonder for who was the programs accessible enough? For all the community, all the member of local community, or the target group, especially at what maybe. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think to clarify what we mean by the accessibility, I can give some examples. what we were looking for when it comes to programs being accessible were that they were affordable or free, hopefully free, that they were in easy to reach locations, so families didn't have to travel long distances to get there, or that the program was going to families, like home visiting or mobile programs, and also that families and communities were informed about the program so that they knew that it was available to them. These are some examples. I think in the cases of the programs that we looked at, a lot of these were made to be accessible for Roma children and families, and they succeeded in doing so. So I'd say this was done at a family like an individual level where people were able to make it to the programs, but also at a community level, that that these programs were made in communities of Roma children. Yeah, does that answer your question? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else with any questions? If not, I think we can go now to the breakout rooms, and you will have two options hopefully soon on your screen, and then you can choose just to repeat it again. One breakout room will be with Marek about how we can tell that our programs work or doesn't work, or which part works well, which part doesn't work well, and what we can do about it. And the other breakout room will be with Enid, and will be about advocacy and communication. Basically, how can we make our case of the importance of ECD clear and heard by politicians, by policymakers, by anyone who is making decisions that influences the lives of children. So these are the two breakout rooms that you can join and then have an open discussion. Don't be afraid, like it won't hurt. You will just have a opportunity to get deeper into a topic. So see you in like 20-25 minutes time. And once everyone returned,
Yes.
I would like to ask Marek and Enid and Marek to make a very short summary of what have you talked about, what was the topics, some interesting questions or comments, anything you think it worth mentioning to the other group.
Yeah. Enid, please go first.
Okay, thanks.
Nice move, nice move.
We've talked a lot about the sustainability of programs and how the compendium can maybe assist in communication efforts to get more funding for programs. So some key points that came up were when communicating, trying to tailor what you're communicating to the listener, to what they think, to what you think they want to hear, but also like, for example, we're talking about communicating with funders and how there's sometimes concerns that funders will think that you just want more money to get more money, and we discussed how then you need to tailor your approach to meet the needs of the funder and use the compendium as proof that these programs really work. So focusing on the outcomes, on the impact evaluation part of the compendium, because this is what funders want to hear, rather than that you just need more money. So yeah, this was a big part of our discussion, how to communicate and reflect the mindset of the recipient. There's also talk about using positive communication. So focusing on positive results rather than on what is missing. We talked also about how the compendium can be used to promote knowledge sharing between organizations, to build networks between people. And by doing so, this can also facilitate calls for policy change, because since the situation for different programs is very unique, they might have different needs. This compendium can be a way to bring people together to discuss how, like, what are the common needs for policy change among all these different initiatives. I think that's the gist of it. If someone from my group wants to add anything, you can do so.
If not, then
Eric?
thank you very much for bringing this summary to the main room. And then Marek, please.
So we had a very interesting discussion. We were talking about how can we actually measure our programs and our initiatives. There were interesting experience sharing. Partners shared that important aspect of the evaluation is whether the partners are satisfied with the program. So this means you can work with questionnaires, or you can ask people through interviews or focus groups whether something is suitable or works for the target group. So this is one of the aspects we are talking about. Also, there was this strong emphasis on qualitative methods. We are talking about that if you have a program which is very specifically targeted on a small group of children, let's say you have a children's group, it probably doesn't make so much sense to use questionnaire and very sophisticated tools. So it's important and interesting to gain individual insights. But at the same time, I was also talking about that having individual insights is quite tricky field, because you have a lot of psychological biases going on. You have a lot of emotional investment in your programs or initiatives. So that's why you need some systematic approaches as well. And also we were talking about if you use systematic approaches, how it is important for it to encompass some kind of common vision about quality. It's important to have some accountability, who has what kind of competence one has and responsibilities, and also to have some kind of let's say shared vision for the future. And we were also talking about some specific trends and interesting things in the evaluation and measurement field. Julia was speaking about directly involvement of, let's say, children from some age in the research. So that's what we were also talking about, that when it's possible, it's always nice and cool to have your target group inside your research. So if you have children, you have initiative targeted on these children, it's cool to make them young researchers and scientists and incorporate them. So there was this aspect of participation and using participatory methods. I think that's the wrap up.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you very much, Mark. Very insightful. And we are coming to the end of this meeting, of this little knowledge sharing event. If anyone of you have any further questions, this is the time to ask or add any thoughts that meanwhile you had and you hadn't had the chance to share it. Maybe anyone have something at that time of the event. If not, then I think I will say thank you for being here and dedicating this time. Also, if you're interested what Places to Grow does, you can follow us on our brand new social media accounts that doesn't have many people. So we are kind of asking you to follow us. So it looks like more legitimate thing than it is right now. And also, if you follow it, you can get some more updates about the next event, which probably gonna be in May. We will see if we can find a partner who wants to share something with others, because this is what it is. It's not like pushed from above. It's always partners are coming up with some ideas that they want to share with everyone else. And you also will find some updates about our upcoming events. Maybe I can also bring a sneak peek to you that nobody else knows yet, or not many people, but we will have a conference in Prague on 14th of November. And this conference is about bringing the results of the Places to Grow program, share it with a wide publicum. And also, should I share it? Why not? So we are also launching an award to award some initiatives that are highly innovative and collaborative in this region. And the award ceremony will also be in Prague during this conference on the 14th of November. So please share the news as soon as it's public, and we will share it on our social media. And also, please get in touch if you have any further questions about Places to Grow, or you want to get a contact of any of the organizations who are partners of Places to Grow. We would be really happy to connect you, because you never know what happens if two people meet who haven't met yet. It can be magic. All right. Thank you very much for coming today. This is our gift to you, 7 minutes from your day. So, ta-da, we give you 7 extra minutes. Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.